They kidnapped Bishop's whole team and would do whatever it took to get their hands on it. They'd torture these researchers till the dead broke down the door and ripped them all to shreds if it meant they could save their people. It wasn't personal. It was self-preservation. With the secret out about Bishop's discovery, he'd become the most wanted man in the world. The NRC were just the first to grab him. It was every country for itself. Why do you think we were there? The Winslow Accord wanted the same thing the NRC did.
You can't rationalize anything when you're put up against the wall.
Nothing about this was rational. It was instinctual, animalistic, survival. He had been escorted to an interrogation room. We had to hurry. Behind us was an undead army. Once one got a whiff, the others would come running. Hendricks told Bishop who we were and that we had to move, but Bishop refused to leave without the other researchers, his friends. Our instructions were specific. Bishop was our priority. We didn't like it, but Bishop refused to leave without them.
Sounds like you were taking an awful risk.
He said for the cure to work, he needed them. They weren't expendable. Technically, we were.
In a way, you and the NRC were not so different in what you wanted and how far you were willing to go.
Our method was different. Our reasoning was not. No one wants to sacrifice themselves to save the world. But you like to think if the moment came, you'd have it in you.
Who was inside the cell?
Lieutenant Ziyed Khalil, member of the Egyptian army. Back in '65, he was a guard assigned to Bishop's research station. This was how we met. Hendricks cut him down and notified Taylor we were freeing the other hostages. Taylor said we didn't have the time. The base was swarming with additional NRC forces. They weren't letting their prize go that easily. There was a tunnel full of hostile soldiers between us and our exit. A cargo elevator ahead was the only way to the surface. No telling how close the dead were behind us. We'd never seen dead killers in action before. To us, it was a spectacle. To them, it was just another day in the life. Wait a minute.
Do not be deceived by his lies. Remember your past. Remember when you first met John Taylor. Remember the truth.
Wait, this is wrong. This can't be real. I told you I met Taylor in Zurich during the 2065 Qatarist uprising, after I became a dead killer. But here I am with Taylor, and my limbs haven't been replaced yet. I'm still human. Why did you tell me that the first time I met Taylor was Zurich?
Focus. You need to complete this memory. What was Taylor's plan?
We were still on for exfil, but first we had to blow the bridge. We followed Diaz. Both undead and NRC forces were converging on our position.
You were forced into the garage. What happened there?
Hendricks wanted to go back and get the other hostages. Taylor said Bishop was priority. After all, he had the cure. The rest were just collateral.
What did Taylor do?
He volunteered to take his team to get the others. We were to take Khalil and Bishop to exfil. We got on the APC. Bishop was the most important man in the world right now. We had to get him to exfil if it killed us. We came in too fast. The APC spun out and crashed. Hendricks moved Bishop into position. The drone evac was inbound. Once secured in the drop pod, it would return to collect. We just needed to hold back the Horde.
What happened?
Airspace was compromised. They had to pull out. Bishop was priority. We were expendable. We heard Taylor over comms. He was inbound and told us to hang on. No. I can't do this. I can't live this again. No, please.
I am sorry. You must.
No, please!
If you wish to defeat Deimos, you must. To save the world, you must relive this.
I should have died. I felt myself fade. It was over. That was the day I met John Taylor. That was the day I became a dead killer.
That was the day you met Bishop, the man who found the cure, before he died at the Cairo aquifers. Moretti told you to find him.
On Moretti's instruction, we sought him out. We told him what we knew, which at the time was just a name, Deimos. He didn't know much, just that Deimos was responsible for the outbreak, and that a safe house in Singapore had a dossier on the guy. So we returned to Singapore. Little did we know, Gojulan had taken the city, and somehow gotten the undead to obey her. If we were gonna get to the safe house, we'd have to go through them. The vultures. Sadistic scavengers, ravaged by atrocity and time, driven by fear and insanity. We saw their victims strung up on display the moment we arrived.
When forced against the wall, the impurities of man can be revealed.
It was more than that. This was survivalism. When only 1% of the world's population is human, you either died and became the undead, or you survived by preying on the living. Overwatch confirmed the vultures were converging on the safe house. Civilians spotted on site. We didn't know if we could get through without additional collateral damage.
It's curious, the vulture's behavior. Willing to kill the living and the dead alike without prejudice. Survival of the fittest at its most primal. They act with reckless abandon without thinking of the consequences. They had to know, the more they killed other humans, the slimmer their chances became.
Don't think of them as humans. They're animals. Abandoned by any form of governing body, they dictated their own society. They were tribal, nomadic. In their eyes, man was as much a threat as the undead. The scavengers began realizing they weren't the only humans in the area. It was a matter of time before Gojulan knew we were here. The safe house was beyond the gardens, but the gardens belonged to the dead. They smelled us lurking above.
Why did they create these displays? What was the purpose?
They weren't just displays. They were art. A way to show off their work, lure their enemies with the dead bodies of friends. Vultures are territorial. They fought among themselves, sociopaths at war with everyone and everything. Undead or fellow human. Either way, you were a predator competing over the same resources. And now we'd become prey baited into a trap. We cleared the plaza. All that was left was to get inside. The blast knocked us back. We heard the building creaking. It could collapse at any moment. Hendricks thought we should stand down. It wasn't worth it.
You push back.
We needed that dossier. At this point, it was our only lead to Deimos. I told Hendricks to call in exfil. I'd take the safe house. Bishop had told us the document was hidden in the panic room within the facility.
Who was in the panic room?
Her. Kane. Our guardian angel. Someone had beaten the hell out of her. Gojulan. She was there for the same thing I was. The same thing our friend was. The dossier.
Do it. Kill her. Kill his host. Prove yourself worthy.
Did you kill her?
I struggled. Panicked. I acted in the heat of the moment.
And the file on Deimos?
Most likely it was reduced to Kindle. Gone. Or so we thought. Hendricks called in transport. Singapore was another dead end. But we needed a few answers from Kane. Starting with who the hell was she? And what was she doing in an abandoned CIA safe house? The truth proved more eye-opening than we could have imagined. After the aquifers, we certainly hadn't expected to see Kane again, let alone here. She wanted the same thing we did. The data drive on Deimos. Better yet, she knew where it was. It was moved from the safe house to a CIA black station in the quarantine zone.
Did she say why Gojulan was trying to kill her?
It wasn't Gojulan. Julan was a puppet of Deimos, and Deimos wanted Kane dead. Guess he didn't like her very much.
Did you trust her?
No, not yet. Our guard was up. But if she could get us to the black station, it was worth a shot.